All right, Bobby, unleash the Bobby Belt blueprint for the Cowboys offseason.
So there have been a couple different ways that we've looked at how do you approach this offseason. They've got 2 first-round picks, and then they have no others in the top 100, at least currently. They could always trade back and stack up capital, obviously. But they've got, realistically, when you pick somebody in the top 100, you're expecting that if you needed them to as a rookie, right? I'm getting everybody's pulse here. If you needed them to as a rookie, 3rd round is like the cutoff of what you reasonably would think maybe they could start for you this year.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Behind that, 4th or later, when it happens every now and then, but you don't generally think like, well, we can always plug with this 5th rounder. And
Except for maybe a running back.
Yeah, running back's one where you can be a little bit different.
Yeah, it worked out so well with Jay and Blue.
Yeah, the one running back who couldn't just jump in and play right away.
Yeah.
But knowing that, it's like, all right, well, you need, as you look at the landscape of just the defense, let's say just re-sign your people, run it back with the offense. If you look at just your defense, given the guys you have out of contract at right now, you probably need 3 starting caliber edge rushers. You need 2 starting caliber linebackers. You need, and this is bare minimum, 1 starting caliber corner, 1 starting caliber safety. Bare minimum.
Bare.
And that's only if you go.
Why do I need 3 edge rushers?
Because
if I have Clowney and Ezraku.
Because Clowney's an unrestricted free agent. So if you re-signed him, that would be one of your 3.
Okay.
So that would count. You get Ezraku, Clowney, and then you need backups for them to rotate because of how heavy they do rotations.
Yep.
So at corner, that would be, you've got a coordinator here who goes, I can make Bland off an injury and Revel in year 2 work, and then give me Stewart, who's already on here as a rotation guy, and then I just need another one to be as like a starting caliber. So that's like
I need 3 corners.
That
Four.
You need a complete reset.
I need everybody out. A complete reset.
Everybody, you're already done. You're done with Duran.
I mean, he just told me that nobody had that foot surgery has ever played again.
It's not the specific. It's not the same specific surgery. It's not the same specific surgery. It's a surgery on the foot. And those were just 3 examples that I found. There could be success stories. Who knows? I hadn't seen any.
Is he the only player out there in NFL history out there on a scooter?
But, no, Scattaboo.
That's right. Oh God,
Scootaboo.
But when you look at it, this is bare minimum. This is the most optimistic case of a defensive coordinator walking in here and going, yeah, I can make this guy work better than Eberflus did. I can make this guy work. You still need 7. You need 7 starting caliber players on defense, minimum. So if that's the case, you have 2 first-round picks. That's all the draft capital you have right now to throw at that, which means you need 5 starting caliber players acquired through free agency or trade this offseason. So when you start looking at that and going, okay, how do I start team building and addressing where am I most likely to get a starting caliber player in the draft? Where am I most likely to get one in free agency? And so that's what I was trying to look over, because my inclination was, yeah, given our experience, we've seen a couple different linebackers who have been great right out of the gate in the last 10 years or so, here in Dallas and otherwise, like in other places. Like you go, okay, you see right out of the gate, Tampa had success with, who was it? They had Devin, whoever they had there. In there,
Devin White?
Devin White, where they had Devin White in there, because I kept wanting to say Devin Lloyd and Devin Bush, who are 2 other linebackers who are Devins. Leighton Vander Esch jumped right in, played big. I always remember just jumping back when I was a kid. Lofa Tatupu right out of the gate was like, oh, yep, that's the second rounder who came in, and he was rookie of the year, and he's just incredible. So I started trying to look and see, is that true? Like, is my assumption that linebackers jump in and play right away true? Is that the most pro-ready position? And what I found was...
And I think the other thing that we need to decide on, which I think we know the answer to for the exercise, is the window. Like, we're all agreeing on the amount of needs. Now we need to agree on the timeline. And we're saying the timeline is tomorrow?
Yeah,
with the Dak window?
Yeah, they need to win now.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that everybody would say...
Dak, Quinnen, Jerry...
You're right. If you're not win now, if you're kind of like, we can kind of be in a rebuild period for a little bit, then you're clearly not stacking these priorities like this.
All right.
So I took a look, and there's no easy way to just go, pro ready with a lot of these positions. There's no way to check how many assignments they busted. There's no way to check necessarily statistics. Like, I mean, somebody could have 0 interceptions and be a really good starter as a rookie, and somebody could have 5 interceptions and be a bad starter as a rookie. Derek Ross here in Dallas years ago had 5 interceptions as a rookie, and Bill Parcells cut him the next year in training camp and referred to him as a street corner instead of a cornerback. He was a street corner. And so I was taking a look at this, and so the way that I was trying to measure it was, who are the guys who played at least 60% of a team's snaps as a rookie on a playoff team? So, like, we're talking about a team that's a playoff team that said, we're comfortable enough running this rookie out here for 60% of our snaps, and we still made the postseason.
All right.
So this is the breakdown of top 100 picks in the last 5 years who have played 60% or more of their snaps. The lowest rate is defensive tackle. 2% of defensive tackles taken in the top 100 have played 60% of the snaps. The next is linebacker, which I thought was going to be high up the list. 6% of the top 100 picks at linebacker have played that much. 10% of edge rushers, a flat 10%, have played that much. 10.8% of cornerbacks, and then significantly above everything else, 17% of safeties taken in the top 100 have ended up playing 60% or more of the playoff team's snaps. Now, if you then broaden it out and say, let's take every team, even bad teams, and let's just see who are the teams that threw them out there, that rate is 45%. 45% of the top 100 safeties are plugged in immediately to play as basically full-time players for teams. And then the next closest is cornerback at 34%. So we're talking about a big drop, and then an even bigger drop to linebacker at 18%. So bad teams generally will start linebackers earlier than playoff teams will. So then you look at it and go, okay, well, things evolve over the season. Guys get better, and they progress. How much, once you get into the postseason, are rookies playing like half the snaps of the playoff snaps for a team? That you start seeing it flip a little bit. Edge rusher drops. It's the lowest at that point. It's 8% of the rookies are in there. It's 11% of defensive tackles, 12% of linebackers, 18% of corners, 1/3. It's 31%. A third of the safeties in the last 5 years taken in the top 100 have ended up playing the majority of snaps for a playoff team.
Okay, so all these numbers are just playoff teams.
The broader one of 45%, that was the whole league. Okay. But the first number in this one here, that means a third of the safeties taken in the top 100, which I think there's been 30 of them. So basically 10 safeties taken in the top 100 in the last 5 years have ended up playing a majority of a team's playoff snaps. So safety, it would look like, is the one, which is kind of odd to me because of, I think, how you kind of got to see the game a little bit.
Caleb Downs, man. Let's go.
That's kind of the direction that you start wondering. Caleb Downs from Ohio State, who is considered the safety in this draft. And every year there's always the safety, it feels like. Oh, there's Kyle Hamilton or Marlon Humphrey or Minka Fitzpatrick or whoever it is. But the one little piece of data that probably should be noted here to see if it skews at all, safety is such a devalued position. It is, out of all those defensive positions we just named, it is the position taken the least frequently in the top 100 in the last 5 years.
Yeah.
So if you get taken in the top 100, you're probably pretty good. Like the fact that a team went, well, we got to take him here, because they look at it and say, you are pro ready. So that might skew the data a little, say, yeah, anybody who goes in the top 100 would have to catch their eye. So then you go, but the biggest thing everybody wants around here is what? Pass rush. They're like, we've got to have pass rush. But nobody ever wants to play in free agency, because they say, oh, this always goes sideways. You end up paying guys.
Yeah.
Not
They're available
worth it.
for a reason.
Super bust. So I went and just looked again at the last 5 years. And I went and found all the edge rushers that have signed unrestricted free agent deals and moved to other teams. So no re-signings, nobody like going back to their own team, not counting extensions. But I went and found everybody who got at least $10 million annually at defensive end. And there have been 24 of them in the last 5 years. I was guessing when I was going to look at it that I was going to find 5 that I thought were worth it, where it's like, okay, sure, that ended up being worth it. It was 14.
Whoa.
At least, and again, this is a subjective measure, but I'll run through some of the examples really quick that are a little more borderline. Some of these are easy slam dunk, like you look at Danielle Hunter and you went, yeah, you pay that all day because Danielle Hunter's awesome. Some of these are easy fails. Bud Dupree in Tennessee was awful. He played a handful of games. He never really had sack production. He was cut after 2 years, and you ended up paying him a ton of money, $17 million a year, whatever it is. Then you've got some others that are a little more borderline. So J.J. Watt, J.J. Watt signed for $14 million annually. He had a season-ending shoulder injury his first year that continued his injuries with it. That continued his injury issues. He only played half the season. He had like 3 sacks. But year 2 of the deal, he did collect 12.5 sacks. He went to the Pro Bowl. Zach Allen, who ended up getting a big deal later in Denver, said he taught me to play football. And he had been a big underperformer, really hit when J.J. Watt got there. So those are the ones where you go, okay, was that a hit? You would feel like if you got 12.5 sacks out of a guy on a 2-year deal, then you feel like that's a hit. So out of that list, it's 14 for sure hit, 8 fail, 2 toss-ups, which were Dorrance Armstrong and then Leonard Floyd in San Francisco. But this would seem to say to me that when you look at this...
This tells me right now, draft secondary, sign an edge.
Yes, that's exactly what I'm thinking. And we're just kind of taking a look at the Cowboys offseason and looking at recent history across the NFL of who's pro-ready and who's not and how much success there's been. Specifically on edge, it looks like the sweet spot because when you look at it and go, okay, 14 of them were passes, but how many of those were 26-year-olds who were just fine? Are all the fails the 31-year-old veterans that you signed? No, it's actually consistent across all age brackets, that hit rate, which is about 60%. It's going to be a hit if you sign him. The sweet spot, it looks like, is find a established pass rusher who's in his early 30s. And when they hit their early 30s, almost uniform, all of them alternate years before they get into full decline. They alternate every other year of health and production.
So you were out when I'd kind of forgotten about this guy's status because I know that you, despite needing 7 defensive players, want to recklessly go and trade for Max Crosby. And I said, and I actually got this from Mike Tannenbaum, who hopefully we see at the Combine in Indy if we get the green light to go. Why not just sign Hendrickson? Broadus texted me and said, you better check on some injury history there. But with every caveat you just gave, that kind of fits what I'm thinking. Like, forget about giving up. Obviously, Crosby's better than Hendrickson. Everyone loves Max Crosby as a person and a player, but I'm not giving up those picks. Why not just sign Trey Hendrickson?
So I'm not opposed to kicking around the idea,
and I'm talking about over trading for Crosby.
So the first 2 years, bleeding into the third of Trey Hendrickson's career, he was an injury nightmare. He had, in fact, first 2 seasons of his career, he had 2 sacks. That was it. And then he had 4.5 in year 3. Boom, pops for 13.5 in a contract year. And then everybody's like, well, is he just is he Albert Hainsworth? What is this? Well, then he goes to Cincinnati, he gets 14 sacks, and they go to the Super Bowl. And then it's 8, 17.5, 17.5. Last year at 31 years old, he got hurt again.
Yeah. But he had played in 15 games every year since 2020 until last year.
Yeah, and so it was a good trend. The question that you would have then, what you need to investigate is, okay, but is this the return of the guy that was getting hurt early? Like the guy who had injury problems early, is he coming back? Is he having injury issues now?
8 years later? That seems like a kind of an unfair tie-in in question.
So when it was the first 3 years of his career, he had injury problems. So then you had 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, which is a great stretch. That's 4 years there, 5 years where he went really well. Naturally, into their 30s, edge rushers tend to break down.
Yeah.
One of the flops here on this list is Von Miller. Like, in terms of an edge rusher who was signed and didn't hit, it was for Buffalo. He got hurt. He reached a period where it's like, all right, this is the time where your body starts to decline. So you just have to wonder, is this the time where Hendrickson's starting to break down?
Yeah.
But, like I said, what you see generally with injury history is DeMarcus Lawrence. It was every other year DeMarcus Lawrence was hurt. Matt Judon, every other year. Trey Hendrickson, is he entering this period of every other year? If that's the case, then your value might be, let me find the early 30s pass rusher who we already know has put together a good career. Like we've seen, there's no questions about, is this guy any good? The question will be, can he stay healthy, and is he not going to start his decline here?
So safety draft, edge sign for this Cowboys offseason, and our secondary draft.
Secondary.
And where are we putting linebacker? You said 6% of playoff teams had linebackers playing.
Yes.
Is that a sign a linebacker?
Now, it was 6% of linebackers playing the majority of the season.
Okay.
When you get into the postseason, it doubled, and it was 12%. So I think linebacker, makes me think linebacker is one of those positions that you got to come along as the year goes, and you got to get more comfortable with the play calls and doing different things. And once you get to that comfort level, then teams are more comfortable putting you out there more consistently. So to me, I would look at it and say linebacker and safety, I feel like I can get somebody who's pro ready now. And if I can do that, I would then sign corner and edge.
League-wide, since 2010, a linebacker drafted in the first or second round starts an average of 8.5 games. First or second round linebackers, the average is 8.5 starts over the rookie contract. That's since 2010. So, yeah, first or second round, you would think the first round linebacker would throw in and start, but this is, again, across the entire league.
A couple names to look at edge if you are going to try and say, all right, where's the value? And let me find somebody who's in that range. There's three of them.
Let's save the names for it to go along with the criteria. So we laid out the criteria on success rate and years, and then we will add names to it along with Trey Hendrickson for that 30-year-old pass rusher. So nice study, Roberto.